Standing here talking with Dean Reynolds, who is the series director for the SuperDirt series and probably all-around man for World Racing Group this week. Dean, so far this year, you've already announced the SuperDirt series schedule.
Yeah.
What stands out to you for the coming year that is something that you want to hit, that is very exciting for you right now?
Well, the schedule, getting that out is always the exciting part, because that is the mainstay of the Northeast and SuperDirt series, and then we'll start working on all the other schedules right here after PRI. But I thought the schedule came out very well. It's got a mix of new tracks going back to Canada. And then we also got our nucleus of tracks, like the Wheat Sports, the Albany Saratogas, the Land of Legends, all that on the tour. So I think it's a good mix because we got some tracks down south this year. So, New Egypt and Stillings Grove, new tracks. I think we got a weekend for Atomic now to try to see if we can get that off the ground instead of trying to open in March. Let's go in September. So it's going to be warmer, hopefully drier. But we're very happy with the series. We're probably going to add one or two more shows. We got a couple a little bit, looking at, and maybe solidify those in the next week, and I think we're ready.
Now, with the way that things have went this year with the schedule, you have places like Bridgeport that have come off, but you picked up New Egypt. How important was it to stay into the areas that you were to try and build the fan base with it?
Well, and that's it. The fan base, the brand, and also there's drivers down south now that have big blocks. They have Hoosiers. They got the fire bottles. They got all the stuff ready. So now they're starting to come to Charlotte. Now they're starting to come to Volusia. And because they have big blocks and they can race them a little bit more in their home area, now they're also sprouting out, like they'll come up for Summerfest and run the 3 races there, or they might come up to Albany, Saratoga. Even Tanner Von Dorn went to Canandaigua, Land of Legends during some Saturday nights. So that's helps by going down south. And then with adding Stillings Grove after Big Diamond, makes a nice 1-2. We tried to get a race after New Egypt, but the Easter Bunny decided to come in March instead of April. So, but we're looking at a race next year after New Egypt if New Egypt does well. So it's good. I always want to keep a little bit of the southern flair going on, and but I think the fans enjoy now. Kind of the star power of the SuperDirt series is back. And back in the 90s and 2000s, when we used to come to Thunder in the Hill at Grandview and do that, it was like, wow, the SuperDirt series is coming. And I think now we're getting back to that, because we got, all the big names on the tour and everything else, and it's the New York guys coming down to invade PA. And, they're calling it the invasion of the PA posse now, too, even for modifieds.
Yeah. I know last year you were excited about it. At the DIRTcar banquet, you were like, oh, this is great. We're back in Canada. It felt so good. You've added, talk about getting back and going up to the north and the fans and the racers. It just seemed like those were some really good races last year.
They were, and it was so good to get back into Canada. Canada is such an important part of DIRTcar, and there's so many fans that still come down to the races. Even during the COVID, they tried to do a little traveling and stuff, but now that the border is opened up and we can go race without any problems and stuff like that, we needed to go back up there. And we went to Drummondville for the 2-day show, and then went to Brockville, DIRTcar sanctioned tracks up there, and they got the shows and packed houses. And I don't think it's going to be any different. And the drivers enjoyed it too. They like the idea of going across the border and getting 3 races in.
With the series and what you have planned on, one of the things that was at the end of the year was very difficult was SuperDirt Week. And with the Mother Nature throwing a monkey wrench, you've decided to move everything up. Can you kind of give a little bit of a synopsis of what SuperDirt Week will look like in 2024?
The schedule actually just got released this week, so now people can get on SuperDirtWeekonline.com and go see the schedule. So really what we did is we moved everything up a day, and the one day that is not going to happen is the Wednesday practice day. Because remember, everyone can come on Wednesday and practice. Now, Monday and Tuesday is set aside for tech. There's tech going on Wednesday and Thursday as well, but Wednesday set aside for 358 in Pro Stocks, where they do their hot laps, and we'll give them extra hot laps for that day, so they'll still get their laps. Then they'll come back for time trials, and then they'll run their heats that night. Then on Thursday, it's the big blocks and the Sportsman, the SuperDirt series, big blocks and Sportsman. So they do their hot laps, time trials, and then come back for their heats. Then on Friday, it's last chance showdowns and features. And then Saturday's last chance showdowns and features. And then the way we have the schedule set up, even if we get a rain during the week, we can always double up one of those days. And now we have Sunday as a rain date, so we don't have to do that on Monday anymore. We're glad we got it in. We're glad the track was good racing, but that Monday it was tough.
As I say, it seemed like
it was
even though it was
Yeah.
difficult, it seemed like it still put on really great action.
Well, the track crew deserves all the credit. You know, when Jeff Hockman got the call from Paul Kirkland at 8 o'clock in the morning, he says, this track will be ready at 11 o'clock. We're like, we just let out because it rained 3.5 inches. We had no idea what that track's going to be like. Thank God they left it sealed after Saturday when the rain hit, but still, we were pins and needles.
Going back to the DIRTcar series, it was just released that Matt Caprara is coming on board. Have you talked to any other drivers, any new drivers that are coming on that are going to be full time for 2024?
Yeah, I think you're going to see Justin Stone's going to sign on this year. He did most of the tour last year to get the feel for it. Kind of did what I call the Adam Pearson route: come and do most of the tour and get your feet wet and then come back. So we're looking to sign him on. Alex Payne has a lot of interest to sign on, which is good. And Michael Traftold has got some interest to sign on as well. I think they all four will. Again, we just got to talk to details and everything else. But, you know, we're bringing in such a nucleus of young drivers now, and that's what's really exciting. You know, last year, Felix Watt.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I think everyone knows how good he is while watching him. But, you know, Alex Payne is one of those up-and-coming guys. Justin Stone, Matt Caprara. So that's been good. We started with Timmy Sears and Chris Heil and Jack Lehner and Adam Pearson. You know, we brought them in, and now these are the next wave, and now we got the next wave. And, you know, in the SuperDirt series, I just love bringing in that new talent and showcasing it.
Talking about the new talent, you got the mixture of the new talent and the old guard. I mean,
Yep.
I know Jimmy Phelps doesn't want to believe himself as a veteran, but I mean, he's a veteran. But I mean, even Matt Shepard is probably more along the lines of a veteran now. I mean, what is it like to have the core group of drivers and the young guns and just putting on excellent shows at a multitude of racetracks? To the fact that, you know, no matter what, it seems like the young guys can compete with the veterans, and the veterans are every once in a while. I mean, the veterans can still show the young guys what
Well, and that was the mix that we've been looking for. That's what we were trying to build up is the series and get that mix. You have your nucleus of the Matts and Peters and Jimmys, and you know, now Larry's back and stuff like that. And so you have that nucleus that is the SuperDirt series. But now, can Felix Waugh put his nose in there and get a couple wins? Can Timmy Sears get a couple wins now? Chris Heil got his win.
Yep.
I think he's ready for more.
Yep.
You know, Adam Pearson, how many times he's knocked on the door. So this is exciting. You know, I mean, you got the two Matts, you know, you got them, and then, you know, Peter was third in points until he fortunately got hurt and stuff. But, you know, is that gap going to close? You know, I mean, we all talk Matt Shepard's the guy. Matt Williamson has always been right there the last couple of years. But that gap seems to be closing a little bit more. And then when you bring in up-and-coming stars that have funding, have the whereabouts, have the crews, that's what makes the tour exciting.
Last year for the Sportsman Series, you guys decided to branch out and have, like you classified it as a hybrid, and going out there and having the championship title series. Was it beneficial? Do you feel like that actually worked? And if it did, is that something that you're going to look at?
It did work. We had, I think, 11 cars do that championship series with, I think, 11 races scheduled. The year before, we had 6 races scheduled, and we had 6 cars that did it. So I think they enjoyed branching out a little bit, but we're not ready to do a whole uniform tour because we got so many DIRTcar sanctioned tracks in different areas that it would be so tough for them. We're going to tweak a little bit. I think some of the regions, maybe make the regions like one more race longer. The reason why is because we tried to do 4 races in the regions, and some regions we only got 2 races in because of weather. Who would have thought the weather would just be such a big factor in the spring? But I think we stumbled onto something that works. And does it need tweaking? Yes. We'll tweak it a little bit again. But I was very happy the way it turned out.
Now, with the 358 series and the Pro Stock series, I mean, are things going to look somewhat the same as what they were last year, or are you looking to branch out with some different tracks and things like that?
358s, I think we'll have 1 or 2 more shows than we did last year. That series went phenomenal. We went from, the low was 42 cars. That was the low. And the high, we had 60 at Lyle's Place there at the end of the year. And that worked out well. We had a couple of nice weekend shows where 358s were the undercard the day before SuperDirt series. And that worked out well. Pro Stocks, we're going to do a little change. Pro Stocks, we're just going to go with a series. We're not going to do the home track bonus points because there's a lot of Pro Stocks in areas where there's not sanctioned tracks. It's just the way it developed, you know, but the geography, where they at. And they want to do the series, but because I had the home track bonus points and series points, you know, combined, they didn't do the tour because they couldn't get the home track bonus points. The owner of this company is one of them. So now he says, you know, I'll come up and do some more racing. So, I talked to Lyle and stuff about that, and they were all for it because we like to see 28 to 30 cars back on the series. You know, last year the magic number was 20. I want to get back to the 28-30, and so that's the change we're going to do with the Pro Stocks.
one last thing. Now, you've been doing this for a couple of years now as a series director. You put your heart and soul into this. Take a look 5 years down the road. Is this trajectory the way you want, or do you still want to go even higher with what you guys are doing?
No, I want to go higher, especially with the focus on the weekly tracks. That's always been the main thing. Series could take care of themselves because I think we do a good job with the drivers that follow them and the purses and everything else and the PR and notoriety. But the weekly tracks, so if you don't have weekly tracks, you're not going to have series drivers. They got to race somewhere. And now this year, I mean, big help's going to be Mike Warren. Mike Warren is, he's a New York guy, born and bred, knows all about the racing in New York. And I think now when we had our meetings in November when we went to the tracks, and between the Hoosier Racing Tire newsletter that goes out to 30,000 people that highlight the track's websites and their upcoming shows and all that. But now Mike can develop a little more PR on the DIRTcar Northeast side. You're going to see more feature stories and more highlight reels and stuff for the Northeast. We just want to build up that weekly more, which then entails the series will get better because more guys will get PR and tracks. Hopefully we'll get better PR and we can build it.